Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, if you're playing the Renekton, I'm just saying Nidalee, Elise. These are junglers that can do well with the Renekton.
Classics.
Look, you're out of playoffs already. Let's see some shenanigans. Let's see some power in the jungle role. Xiaohao almost carrying on the Viego. He did a fair job, to be honest. Like, just absolutely camping that bottom side. This time, Rookie going to go for that Azir that was hovered in the previous game. The Sejuani you were talking about, taken away from Xiaohao before he can even consider it.
Ooh, that is a Diana hover from Xiao. He has played it in the summer split. It didn't win though, so maybe, like you said, AL, put up something spicy for this game. Maybe they go for another approach. It is the Viego lock and they deny the Renekton here perhaps, away from Wayward, Renekton, Sejuani, but Sejuani just works with all the top laners available in this meta, the Jax, the Renekton. Even Cassante is going to put up quite the punch in the individual 2v2 matchup. We'll have to wait and see as it is dropped to 4 and 5, but top esports, I mean, you do have champions still up and available like the Rakan and the Xayah as well. I mean, you can also take away the Alistar right now because AL's already shown their mid laner.
I will say it's really interesting to see AL just lock in the same draft again. Just saying, like, look, it wasn't the champion picks that were the issue, it was the execution, which I think is a very mature way to approach this game number 2, because I agree, like, the early game was great. The way that the composition worked, it wasn't an issue of this composition not being good from AL, and the early game showed that they could pilot it. It was an issue of what happened later on in the game that were the issues. Top Esports, though, completely changing tack. They've banned the Samira, they've taken away the Renekton this time, and instead going for kind of more scaling in the mid lane, not putting themselves on a quote-unquote timer in the way that they did in the previous game, although I'm not so sure I agree that they were on a timer, since they seem to only get stronger throughout the game. It was a bit weird, despite their lethality carries. Braum and Alistar taken off the board, though, and it will be that Varus one spot.
All right. You know what? My eyes spot out. A Tristana is going to be let open for this game too, Jitoyi. If you want to stop Jackie Love nice and early, I mean, you can consider this. However, Top Esports, they're saving that counter pick for Mark. But with the Braum taken away, I mean, the Tristana could still work as you have the Rel to pair up with. I don't know about this Kalista hover, man. The Kalista up against Azir Varus, your range is pretty much non-existent. So are they really going to try this?
This is a snowball or die pick. Okay, all right, we swap over. It is that Tristana that you talked about. I'm kind of glad. To be honest, I don't think that was going to work out well. I would have been hyped to see a Kalista, but I'm not sure it would have been a good look for Kalista. This would be a big pick. A, because ZDZ loves a bit of Jax, but also that would be the exact same pick that Wayward had into ZDZ in the previous game. I'd love to see it Quinn.
Oh
okay,
my god, of course they switched to an Ornn. That is so late. Although I do love the Ornn, because if you look at Top Esports composition, they have extremely long range coming into game 2. They have the Call of the Forge God to really threaten Jackie Love and Rookie's positioning for those team fights. Mark, what is going to be your counter pick into the Rel and the Tristana? Most likely the Nautilus, where you can disrupt Zora's ways of engaging in these team fights, but a relatively different approach to this game. From the side of Top Esports, they switched out the Jace for the Azir this time around, so Rookie, the game is going to be a lot slower compared to the Jace. Jace and Varus together, they have a lot more agency when it comes to around the 25-minute mark. Once you do pick up, or at least complete the Mana Mune, but Rookie, you need that Rabadons, you need the Void Staff, because AL, they have the Tristana this time around, and she is a lot more flexible in how she can commit to the team fights.
She certainly is, and also can still fulfill the same role in the early game that they were using the Samira for, right? Where you're dominating the early scraps. You can still have Xiaohao focus on this bottom side to try and shut down Jackie Love in the early game if they want to, which worked pretty tremendously for them in game number 1. But then Tristana, like you say, scales better, can approach the team fights differently. You can just play front to back as Tristana if you want to later on in the game. Like, the draw a bead passive does mean that Tristana's range is pretty respectable late into the game. So Chichoya can go for that all-in style, can go for a more passive style, whatever works in these team fights. Yeah, like anyone's legend, changing tact a little bit. We'll see how it's going to pan out. The one concern I have for anyone's legend is the Ornn up top for ZDZ. I'm not a fan. I feel like ZDZ was one of their strongest players in the previous game. I felt like he was one of the reasons that they was like existing in a lot of the fights. And now taken away from that. I mean, Ornn will bring a lot to a team fight, but I kind of like seeing ZDZ with a bit more carry potential.
Hey, if the games are going to go to 35 minutes, the Ornn is going to be immense value. But like you said, up against the Renekton and Sejuani for this game too, ZDZ is going to be a victim of multiple ganks in this early to mid game, and it really depends on if Xiaohao wants to cover for the Ornn or play towards the win con in G2E once again on this Tristana and Rel. We talked about flashes will be important for JackeyLove. If you lose that, I mean, you're going to get repeat gank after repeat gank. So it is going to be pathing dependent. We have the Viego pinging towards that red side, so perhaps an early 2v2 on the top side will be the start to this game.
That would certainly be, to be honest, early 2v2 with Ornn Viego versus Renekton Sejuani. I know who I'm favoring. I don't think that is a 2v2 that will look good for anyone's legend. That said, though, they get an early kill. The reset coming through for Xiaohao. The rest of the fight is doomed for top esports. But yeah, we'll see how the early pathing is going to pan out.
That Xiaohao needs to get a kill. He just needs to be there as moral support for ZDZ. He's like, don't worry, bro. I got you. You're not dying to Tian and Wei with this game too. All they have to do is deny the early kills to go towards this Renekton, because obviously this time around you have great setup for the team fights. I can't really fault AL's composition for this game too. You see a repeat of this game one bottom lane. Zora's so low every single time. Zora's trading so much health in this lane, and I'm not a big fan of that.
No, Zora getting chunked out. And again, the hail of blades for JackeyLove. I've got to assume that this is the lethality virus once more. One thing in favor of AL, though, they've got a Tristana. You have so much push to fight for the level 2, and it will be level 2 gain for anyone's legend first this time around. So not quite as much pressure. This time, Chichoya not going to have his cleanse and that burn early on.
Yeah, all eyes on Xiaohao in this early game. Maybe try to bully out Tian, looking for the blue buff already. Are we splitting the map? ZDZ, you're on your own, buddy. Tian doesn't know this, though. They don't have a ward spotting out Xiaohao, so he is just going to enter towards his bottom side jungle without a single blue buff to be waiting on the other side.
Over the wall, Tian just in time to see his blue buff snagged away from him. Just drop a ward onto Xiaohao. Xiaohao saw the ward and did use his smite, so Tian would have advantage on the Gromp, but trying to move these bot laners over. JackeyLove really wants to just be farming here.
This Gromp
contested, Tian's gonna go down! It's first blood for Zora! Oh, the commitment from Tian.
Look, the best thing for top esports is at least it's the Rel getting the first blood and it's the red buff going towards Zora, but I really didn't expect Tian to die for this Gromp.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to take a look at a replay there. Like, you could see JackeyLove was loath to join the play because there was a wave crashing in the bottom side. He wanted to get that CS. Tian, I think, just maybe underestimating the damage coming out from Xiaohao, because he's kind of just still hitting the Gromp. Gromp is hitting him. Xiaohao is hitting him. Just
oh my god, the contrast on this guy's game is... It's very bright, to say the least, but you know, whatever works for you, man. Xiaohao didn't have the smite available here, so it was just going to be their eyes locked onto Tian. And yeah, he's just autoing him to death. And the Gromp goes to Rel, the first blood goes to Rel, the red buff goes to Zora as well. I'm not too sure what Tian was thinking there. A bit of a disconnect from the jungler once again of top esports.
Yeah, just... I'm not really sure. Not really sure on that one. Tough situation to be in. Xiaohao now focusing on this bottom side once again, like we saw in the previous game. Tian wants to answer it though. Xiaohao on a ward here. Mark can look for the engage. Zora and Chichoya are so low on HP. JackeyLove flash it to the backside of the play as Mark has to flash to safety as well. Zora the target here, but it's one for Chichoya. He's getting the resets. JackeyLove, next target is Chichoya. Over the wall here.
What?
Flash forward from Xiaohao to finish JackeyLove. And Tian is going to be alone in the play, but he finishes the AD carry, and it's only the junglers remaining.
Where is G2E going on this Tristana? I am so confused right now. I feel like that was a huge winning play for the side of AL, but the Tristana jumped over the wall, and then after getting the reset from the kill of Xiaohao, he jumped onto Tian's face and just dies. I feel like that could have been so much better for AL.
bit of a weird one, honestly. I thought he was just going to jump on Jackulov a bit earlier, but we'll take another look. Everyone just piles on Mark to start the play.
Yeah, Mark lives for an extra few seconds, but G2 getting this reset. I mean, he is at a great angle to jump onto Jackulov once again, but he goes over the wall, so he misses out on 2 or 3 autos from Jackulov dying even faster. And this final jump really confused me.
What?
He could have just jumped to safety, even burning the cleanse, so it ended up being a 2 for 2. I'm not too sure what these players are thinking, Munch.
I think that's got to be a misclick, right? Like, he must have been trying to click towards Tribrush and kind of fat fingered it and got stuck halfway through the wall. And you know how it like shortens your jump if you do it against the wall? That's the only thing I can think of, because that was.
But how do you fail that wall jump? That is like the thinnest part of the wall.
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, he'll go down. And look at the CS lead down in that bottom side now. Jackulov almost 15 CS up.
Look, it could have gone a lot worse for the side of Top Esports if G2 didn't decide that sequence of event to play out. So like you said, Jackulov in the Varus matchup once again, he didn't do too bad, honestly, given the start he had. In Game 1, he was very even in CS, even had a slight gold lead when G2 had the huge tower plates and kills going to his pockets. We've seen this before, but we don't have Zora this time around hovering Xiaohao.
Xiao trying to get onto the Gromp there. Won't get his chance though. Tien walks away, but a sizable lead and just complete control for Xiaohao in the jungle matchup. Zora moving over with the wave crashing in the bottom side. They should be able to start a Drake for themselves.
I do like how Hada, he is utilizing this mid lane priority to constantly hover towards his bottom side, so Xiaohao is enabled to go for those camp stealing events. Tien not being able to secure a single Gromp so far into the game. He's feeling a little bit defeated, but we highlighted how Sejuani and Renekton is going to be a huge win condition in this early game, so I'm expecting Tien to get level 6 of this red buff and slowly make his way towards his top side and then force something at the Rift Herald.
I thought Wayward was going to go for some proxy farming then. He's just going to head out onto the map. There's Harder and Rookie, very neutral in the mid lane. Been a much, I don't know, more... It's weird, isn't it? Because we're getting towards the 8-minute mark, and I feel like this has been a more action-packed game in one way, but in that there's more kills. But actually, I feel like the previous game kind of had more action overall in the early game. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I feel like we just had more kills out of an early scrap. Xiaohao still having a fantastic early game, though. This has been true in both games in this series. I feel like Xiaohao is kind of diffing Tien as Mark and Zora going toe-to-toe. Jackulov whiffs the ult, though, and in goes to Choya. He's a level down, though. That's bad news. He drops as Jackulov and Mark win out the 2v2. Zora will fall as well. Double kill for Jackulov. He's finished off by Xiaohao, but the damage is done.
So you force the flash out of Zora as Jackulov uses the Chain of Corruption, but Jitoyi, he thought it was an angle to go in himself, but he didn't really have the damage to finish off Jackulov. And even Mark, he leveled up during that fight, and it was just an overall losing fight because Zora was using all of his abilities to escape from the initial engage of Mark. We'll get a replay of this. The hook lands onto Zora as it cancels his dash away to safety. But there's also a huge wave pressuring Ale as well. But you see Jitoyi utilizing the Q cooldown from Jackulov, but jumping into the Nautilus isn't the smartest idea.
Yeah, Mark pretty much had his whole kit available to him. Just roots him up, and they just take him down. They just out DPS him. And now, in the meantime, ZDZ is trying to clear the wave. Wayward wants to set up a dive. Tien already tanking.
What?
Okay, attempt number 2.
The wave's gone!
What is happening? What the hell is happening in this series? Tien's gonna die to the tower!
What? Munch, I need CPR. I need CPR right now. What did Tien just do? That is the goofiest dive I've ever seen from a Sejuani. That could have gone the worst way possible. Maybe an outplay from ZDZ, or the top and jungle just completely goofing that 2v1.
And Tien has the Herald as well. Like it's a fine theoretical play.
Oh my
but just
God,
let the minions take the tower, for God's sake.
ZDZ pretty much gets 90% of the wave with this Call of the Forge, and then the final E comes out. Tien tanks the tower already, forcing the flash out of ZDZ, and then Tien tanks again. and he doesn't drop aggro. He doesn't think Wayward can finish off this Ornn himself. He had to go for the extra whack and secure the kill for himself.
He walked in for an auto attack. Like what? What? I have nothing. I've got absolutely nothing. That is the goofiest play I've ever seen. I don't know, man. Like, Kitty, I'm done. Do you want a solo cast rest?
Look, we said and we highlighted how this game up against AL, it is a form check for Top Esports. This is the last series in the regular split to prepare Top Esports for the run in playoffs. But Tian, I mean, you're not leaving me much hope. Xiaohao's in this top side though.
Good flash from Wayward. Tien trying to move over to help in the 2v2. He might be too late, but the stuns come on through. There's TP in from Rookie as well to try and clean this one up. TP now from Harder as the Empress Divide keeps them safe for now. And Top Esports will disengage. Supportal combat in the mid lane. Zora and Mark CCing each other up, but no one's there.
Someone save Rookie, man. At the end, it was Viego and Ornn winning the 2v2 on the top side. They utilized how Wayward he had to burn the flash from the early exchange. And Xiaohao, given the exact lead compared to game 1 on this Viego, having the trifles already, don't look at the goal difference in the jungle right now because it's kind of repeating itself from the first game.
Wayward charging forwards again, and you're absolutely right. It's just shenanigans. Just shenanigans is all I could say. 25 seconds until the Hextech Drake comes up. And I feel like Top Esports probably the ones in the driver's seat at this point for the Drakes. Like, you've got Azir with Leandri's on. Jackulov has finished off his Ghost Blade. Like, certainly in terms of the AD carries, he's the stronger one of the two at the minute. As he actually is going to look for an all-in here, isn't he? He's going to look for the chains. That's jump on cooldown. He can flash chain. He can flash chain and combo here. Xiaohao's in the area, so is Zora. But Jackulov, you know he's hunting for it.
Zora has the flash available. Okay, well, that's ultimate exchange from Mark, but I feel like even if Jackulov goes in for the flash chains, Jitu can honestly buffer it with the cleanse as well, so it's very dangerous. They need Rookie's ultimate to come online because you have to consider the fact that Zora and Hada have their engage tools available for this upcoming dragon, and they have to position very carefully and play front to back to allow Jackulov to get his poke off.
They really do. And it's enough that anyone's legends decided to concede the Drake. So one apiece now. And again, Top Esports, this is their usual way of playing, is focusing on the Drakes. They do love to try and stack those Drakes early on in the game. This bot lane presence from AL across the course of the series has been like a big boon for them in stopping Top Esports' usual playstyle, denying the way that this team usually tries to find advantages in the game. Xiaohao has honestly been doing wonders for AL across this series so far.
Yeah, and something that I've noticed is Tian decided to go for the Even Shroud as that mythic item, but honestly, I wouldn't be too mad at a Locket Sejuani. It's something that Hung does quite a lot, the jungler of WE, and you look at just the amount of AoE that AL have with this composition, but maybe it is just personal preference as we do have the Rift Herald spawning in 1 minute, but AL, this Viego is extremely fed, and Top Esports, they're still very far away from consistent DPS out of Rookie.
They're looking for Tien. He's been found on his Grux and just gets rinsed. Was not ready for the 2v1 there with Zora headed over as well. Maybe the opposite play though. Chichoya has his jump available. Gets caught out. And the cleanse is clean. Nicely played by Chichoya.
Mark still has his ultimate available though, so they're gonna look to push the wave in and look for a re-dive onto this Tristana. You see Zora already resetting and making his way towards his bottom side, so I think that is just a pick onto Tian and they get away with it.
Really nice bit of play. The cleanse after the jump, really, really clean from Chichoya to get himself out to safety. It does mean, like you say, no opposite play from Top Esports. The wave wasn't in a good spot. And it does mean that they can't find anything. Wayward trying to find pressure in the top side. I'm surprised how much jungle presence we've had on this top side, to be honest, as well, with an Ornn in the game. Usually, you don't see that much focus on him. But it's been a wacky one, hasn't it? Harder, though, and Rookie They're PvE players today. They're both chilling. Even CS, just farming out the mid lane. Not been a participant in any of the action.
Lucky for the side of top esports, so they are going to secure this Rift Herald for free with wards, spotting out the support and jungle of AL, but that does mean they give up this tier 1 tower towards this Tristana, and I just feel like, I mean, you have to place that Rift Herald towards the mid lane and break open the map as fast as possible, although the tower plates are already gone, but at least it's a return play.
Yeah, so Herald comes down. It will be a trade of tier 1s. And which one is more valuable does depend on your perspective as the CC chain is on to... Oh no, they walked into the Pot Blossom. Okay, Auto comes out. Jacula finishes the job. Tier 1 taken down in the mid lane here, as well as a bonus kill. So, all things considered, mildly positive trade. In fact, no, now definitely positive trade as Wayward has grabbed the top tier 1 as well.
I definitely saw Jackie Love's life flash in front of my eyes, although he had to burn the cleanse. I mean, that is 2 tier 1 towers, like you said, opening up the map so much more. I mean, Zora, what are you doing? You're alone in this top side. You don't want to be there by yourself.
He's pretending he's got
Zora.
friends. He's pretending he's got teammates on the way. And to be fair,
You
Shout
say
Out
he
was
doesn't
on the
have
way.
friends?
Whoa, that's not what I said. That's taken out of context, I swear. Although, isn't that Rel's entire lore that she's like an exile? So maybe I was referencing the lore.
Wait, that went really dark. I didn't know Rel was like, okay, I'm so sorry, Rel. I didn't mean to poke at your personal lore, but you already see the Tristan and Rel are freed from the bottom lane duties and they're rotating themselves towards us. I would prefer the Tristana to be in the mid lane, get that mid lane priority, and then work towards the dragon, which is going to be mountain for either teams. We get a replay of this mid lane. It is just Tien landing a really nice glacial prism onto this Nico. He used the clone, I don't know for what, maybe for extra movement speed to get into this lane. I feel like the clone would have been massive value to block on the initial 2 ultimates coming out of top esports, but they get the tower, they get the gold, and Jackie Love gets the kill.
Yeah, a bit of a whiff from Harder there. I can't believe Jack have walked into the Pot Blossom as well. But I guess just wanted to guarantee that he'd be able to get an auto attack in no matter what there. It's now top esports. I mean, a lot of gold in Jackie Love's pockets. I feel like the 80 carries are the opposite way around to what we saw in the previous game of the series.
You also have to consider the fact that this Tristana was the one being the aggressor in the 2v2, but not taking the correct time framing, I'm assuming. But I don't know, this Tristana, the 2 times we saw her in those skirmishes, there's a lot to be left in the air. This is going to be a huge team fight, though. It's going to be a 5v5.
TP in. Here we go. 5 players playing for the Drake on both sides. 7k on that Drake as Tien tries to move in as well. ZDZ's pretty tanky on that front line. Call of the Forge. What? ZDZ completely whiffs it. It's a nightmare. As the ults come on through, the CC is there for top esports. Chichoya left alone in the back of the pit. He has to fight a Renekton by himself, but Jackie Love trying to get the DPS out. This lethality not working out, but Rookie has been chilling this entire time. Xiaohao, though, taking over the fight himself, using those resets, getting onto Rookie, but he hasn't got the damage, and Wayward does.
And Rookie once again stands out on top for the side of top esports, all for a second dragon in this game. They are going to be able to secure this mountain going into their hands, but that was a scrappy one with how ZDZ started the fight. I'm pretty sure Call of the Forge God made a literal L on the map with how Ornn was positioned. I mean, you see ZDZ getting CC'd by the chains of corruption from Jackie Love, but pretty much this entire fight, Rookie and Jackie Love untouched from the carries of AL. Harder's ultimates in these 2 games on the Nico, extremely confusing because you're not getting much done. You're CCing pretty much the front line of top esports, which are extremely tanky as well in the Sejuani and Renekton, and you're not having any threat on the back line.
Yeah, almost finishing off Rookie there, but doesn't have the damage. Wayward stuns him up, finishes the job. Chichoya caught at the back of the pit against an angry crocodile. That is not a 1v1 that you want as a Tristana, let me tell you. Yordles don't do well against giant crocodiles. And well, top esports, it's not a clean series at all. But they do have a 2,000 gold lead. They've got 2 Drakes. Harder gonna try and check onto Tien. We'll just take a bit of a tap. As the Rookie's in the area as well, Harder's got to be a little cautious on where he steps.
Most definitely, but I'm just looking at the item differential between the Tristana and Varus. Only a Kraken Slayer picked up, and the Ninja Tabbies, by the way, for Chitoyi. Not too sure if Ninja Tabbies is the one you're supposed to be getting. You shouldn't be in range of Wayward or Jackie Love in these team fights, as you do have the jump to buffer any CC out of top esports. Bit of a confusing build to say the least, but still, Hada, you need to pop off in these team fights. We've seen you have amazing pop blossoms in that game 1, but not in this game 2. And being one of the main setup for AL to work with to allow Xiaohao to get those resets, he's depending on your Nico.
Yeah, I feel like even in game number 1, later on in the game, we did not see, like, consistently on, like, Mark alone or onto TN, but we didn't really see him hitting the whole team later on in the game. Like you say, a lot of that was down to the spacing from top esports. They played well around it in those team fights, but it's also about Harder trying to find his opportunity. I'm not sure I've seen him imitate a minion a single time across the course of this series, actually, which I know it's kind of a gimmick, but it is also kind of what Nico does.
We haven't seen a single transformation that is correct. I also think Hada could be utilizing his clone a little bit better in terms of how he's able to dodge out on skill shots from the side of top esports. They're very single target, considering that Tien, Mark, and Jackie, I mean, Chains of Corruption can spread, but still, it's very single target. Maybe he can bait out one of the crucial engage tools from top esports to really swing these team fights away. But top esports, they have complete control of this top side, and they want to look for a pick.
They certainly do. There's just darkness around the Baron. And you know, in the previous game, it was tough for top esports to threaten the Baron because they had Jason Lethality Varus, so not much DPS to burn through a Baron. This time they've got an Azir. Azir is extremely fast at finishing the Baron off, so not as much of a concern for them. They definitely can try and threaten that objective. 7 stacks on the Dark Seal for Rookie as well, so if another fight goes well, you can fully expect a Medjai's.
And the side waves are pretty terrible for AL as well. So you already see ZDZ and Hada. The solo lane is responding to both top and mid. Top esports can just continue to dance with this idea of Baron until Dragon spawns. But that pink ward in the river really triggers me, because somehow and in some way AL managed to get a single ward at the back of the Baron pit, so they know that top esports is never going to be starting this Baron up, and they're going to reset and work towards the bottom side.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the ward in the river is like to spot out the cheeky wards that are just outside of the pit, but realistically you need 2 pink wards in the area, or at least to sweep the area that isn't pinked, you know? Pink ward in the pit, sweep around.
Who got that ward? Like, who walked into the face of Tien and Rookie while Rookie had complete control of this top side? But to all the support mains or whoever's buying control wards, please place the control ward in the Baron pit itself to spot out those sneaky wards, of course. But, you know, I
figured out who it was. It was Harder's clone. That's why we've not been seeing it all game. It was busy, like, warning Baron.
It's occupied.
And, you know, yeah, it's like Peter Pan's shadow, you know? It's kind of sentient. It's got a mind of its own. It's helping out. Deep, deep flank, but Zora's spotted. I don't think he knows he was spotted either. Could be in trouble here, as they're going to just start grouping up. Rookie's found him. Zora has a blast cone. I think he gets out of this one. Top esports look for the rest of the team, but Mark can't find it. Wayward behind the team, though. Xiaohao has already used his ultimate. In fact, a lot of ultimates blasted out from both sides, and Zora finally found by Rookie. Many ults expended to kill that support, but an advantage found. Mark still has that depth charge, and it makes it impossible for AL to contest.
At the very end, this greedy Rel did fall as a result, like you said, but it is Rookie once again finding the angle onto Zora and getting him picked off. I honestly thought with how that fight started off, top esports pretty much missed everything on the 4 members of AL, but now they're looking to recontest for vision in this top side. Mark.
A little cautious there, but Scryer's orb will spot out that Baron's not happening. And it means Wayward can just stay down on this bottom side, clear the next wave, maybe finish the tower. Although he's out of minions, so probably won't get that tower, but he will find a cheeky little red buff. So a little bonus for him as Chichoya wants to move over, will spot the red buff in trouble. He's like, hey, that's my red buff, I want that one. And actually Wayward fully respects it because he knows that he doesn't have any teammates anywhere nearby.
I would have taken it. It's a level 13 Tristana. Come on, I would have. Although ZDZ is showing on bottom wave, I would have just egoed it, but that's me. Anyways, AL, they're regaining this vision control in the Baron pit. Rookie's by himself. I don't know if they can look for a pick onto him. He has the Merc Treads and the Flash available. Not enough CC to really lock down this Azir with only 2 members. They need chain CC out of Hada and Zora. They need to work together, but that's something we have yet to see in these team fights.
Not to mention, he also had that Emperor's Divide, so even if you do like get under tower, he can just lock you up underneath the tower. It can be very difficult to dive on Azir. They're so good at just forcing these outplay moments. And AL, under pressure this time around. Last time, they were the ones ahead in gold. And it's not a dissimilar composition to what Top Esports were playing with in the first game, where they do have that range advantage. They can just play through the poke. Wayward getting stacked on down in the bottom side, pops the Dominus, trying to escape for now, flashes as well to keep them busy, but Xiaohao is down in the bottom side, which guarantees the Baron for Top Esports. Wayward getting away with what he can. He's sliced and diced, but there's no tower here. He's doing massive damage, and he might just finish Xiaohao. The stopwatch comes through to keep Xiaohao alive. A valiant effort from Wayward. What is Baron for Top Esports?
I'm not too sure if that's the play that you want to be looking for, but I don't want to be that guy. Jitoyi was also rotating towards that bottom play, but man clicked back twice. I feel like the Renekton could have died a lot faster, but Tristana just was very hesitant on committing to that play. But now Rookie, level 16, reaching the promise of Neverland for this Azir. I have no idea how AL is going to kill off Rookie and Jackie Love now.
Yeah, I mean, the Rookie is in a monstrous position. Same for Jackie Love. Like say, level 17 for Rookie. He's 2 levels up on ZDZ, 3 levels up on Harder. That is insane, especially considering Harder is not that far behind in CS. I mean, he's 30 CS down, but 30 CS, is that 3 levels? Surely not.
That's 3 levels at 27 minutes. And I feel like, Munch, although Top Esports, they were given the opportunity to win the game at Elder this game too, they don't want to give that opportunity over for AL, as they're just going to go with a 1-3-1 composition. But you already see that AL's composition, they need to force huge 5v5s. They have the setup, they have the tools, the flashes available in the solo laners as well, but you just have to make the call. You can't really bleed out like this.
Yeah, it's a tough one to watch, honestly, where Top Esports, they have every advantage. Like you say, 1-3-1. Going to be their go-to play as Wayward heads up towards that top side. Still 2 tier 2s up on the map. Still a minute on the Baron buffs as well. But Wayward not having the Baron buff, obviously he was the one that they kind of traded on the opposite side of the map. So he doesn't necessarily have the same level of pressure that the rest of the team has. But as long as he keeps the wave pushed in, they'll still create map pressure for them to work with. Tier 2 being threatened in the mid lane. And that's the poke we're talking about. Azir can bring a bit of that to the table as well. It's not just Jace.
And here's the problem for AL. They need to work off flanks if they want to pull off these successful team fights, because you can't fight Top Esports because of Rookie's front to back ability. But you already see no vision setup whatsoever, but they have to try.
They're going to make an effort here, the Glacial Prison, to deny the initial engage. The end flashes to the rest of his team, and in comes Rookie to set up the play. The shoop de whoop from Rookie, and AL sent packing, flashing under the tower now as Xiaohao desperately tries to hold on to the game, to hold on to his dignity at this point. He's had a fantastic series, but unfortunately, there's only so much you can do. Top Esports dominate the second game in this one. Rookie looking like an all-star to finish this one out, as Wayward will happily tank up the tower. And Top Esports will finish the series out in 2-0 fashion.
Rookie once again delivering on his Azir. That final fight felt as smooth as butter. But Top Esports, they're gonna win this last series of the summer regular split and continue their win streak to 3. So huge shift in momentum, but still a lot of lessons to be taken away up against AL.
Yeah, I will say second game from most of the players on Top Esports was much cleaner than the first game. I will not say from every player on Top Esports. There were definitely some intriguing moments. But, you know, at the end of the day, they get the 2-0. At the end of the day, they've guaranteed themselves at least 4th seed over the course of the split. Now, the onus is on LNG. LNG have to win their final series. They're in good form right now. They're against NIP for the final one. You should expect LNG to be favorites there. But Top Esports, if they finish in 4th, they'll be in the same side of the bracket as Billy Gaming, which I feel like that is a banging matchup in a best-of-5 Billy versus Top Esports. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, best of fives just gives such a different flavor when it comes to esports and competition. But yeah, this series was a form check for Top Esports, and Rookie is definitely in his best version. He is in form, he is ready for the playoffs, and this meta suits him so well. We saw the Jace, the Azir, and he's just constantly delivering on these team fighting champions. Jackie Love also 2 games of the Varus, getting set extremely behind with how AL was specifically targeting through the bottom lane, but he was still able to show up when it did come to those major objectives and huge team fights. So the rest of Top Esports, they still have a couple of days to kind of brush up on themselves. We saw a bit of a disconnection specifically from the jungle and the rest of the team, and those tiny mistakes could be taken advantage of by the teams that we have in the playoffs, and it's not something that we should speak lightly of, because that could be their playoffs run ending if they don't fix on this mistake.
Yeah. We honestly, Top Esports, I think leaving a lot to be desired, to be fair here. My personal stance on Top Esports right now is they are doomed in playoffs if they play like this. If they don't button up some of these mistakes and clear up some of the issues that they're having, they're actually just doomed, aren't they? Like, with the form of BLG, JDG, LNG, even teams like OMG and Weibo could be a Top Esports that's on this kind of form. So, like, if they want to make it to World, they've got to book up their ideas here. So I'm excited to see them at best of 5, and I firmly believe that they will improve by the time we get to playoffs. But yeah, definitely some question marks to be asked towards Top Esports. But that is their split done now. The regular split is over. Jackie Love, Rookie, absolutely excellent form from these 2 players. Mark looking pretty decent across the course of the series as well. To be honest, everyone looking pretty good, except for TN had a really rough series. It just has to be said.
Yeah, to be fair, you can also kind of see from the other side of the perspective where Xiaohao was consistently calling Zora into Tian's jungle and bullying out the Sejuani completely, but we even saw mechanical whiffs from the 2v2 in the top side, 2v1 in the top side, so leaving a lot to be desired. But like you said, I mean, Rookie on this Azir, we don't need to talk about the damage difference in the mid lane, but I feel like Top Esports, as long as they're able to kind of clean up on their early game, their team fighting looks excellent. But the concern is if you look at our top teams in the LPL, at least the top 3 teams above Top Esports in JDG, BLG, and LNG, is that they have significantly better mid-jungle synergy when it comes to the skirmishes, and that could be somewhere that they struggle on.
It certainly could be. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you fix some of these issues when it is, you know, sort of individual mess-ups. But equally, like, in game number 1 of the series, we saw that individually, the mechanics of this team is insane. They won a fight while they were 8,000 gold down off of catching a mistake from anyone's legend and outplaying them. Like, it really does go both ways, which I guess is the nature of Top Esports historically. But this split hasn't felt very Top Esports in that way. It's not felt very, like, just flip everything, you know? It's felt like a bit more of a stable type of Top Esports. This series, they've very much got back to their roots.
Just looking at the KP, Xiaohao had a 91% KP on the Viego, and Hada was sitting on 18 on the Nico. So bit of a contrast in terms of the mid-jungle duo, but I do want to highlight Xiaohao. He looked fantastic both games into this series up against Top Esports and has a lot of potential in the upcoming year of 2024, and I feel like he really proved himself with this summer split. He didn't stand out as much compared to spring, but taking these individual wins away from the likes of EDG and RNG, I mean, I'm looking forward to see how Xiaohao takes his career.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future of Xiaohao. That is for sure. We're going to head over to the stage because I believe we've got Wayward for an interview.
Hello there, welcome to Postgame Interview. I'm Christina. We're joined by Wayward, the top laner for Top Esports. Congratulations on your 2-0 victory. It is your last game of regular season and you just got a very clean 2-0. So first question for you, are you satisfied with your performance and especially around over the regular season and totally you got 12 wins. Are you satisfied with the result you have got for regular season? 欢迎微微的来到我们的赛后采访，恭喜滔博在这场比赛当中2-0战胜了对手，同时这也是你们在本次常规赛的收官之战。其实回顾整个常规赛到目前为止，滔博取得了12个大胜场。想问一下微微的选手，觉得今天这场比赛的感觉如何？以及回顾整个常规赛，对于自己目前队伍取得的这样的一个赛果和战绩还满意吗？
今天收官之战的话还是挺满意的。然后我们整个常规赛的成绩还算比较 OK 吧。
So firstly, I'm very satisfied with with this 2-0 victory because this is the last game of our regular season. And overall, I'm very think that we got a very decent performance result in the regular season in standings. And coming to some in-game contents, why did I pick Jax? Because this is your very first Jax games in 2023 Summer Split. 那么其实，在今天游戏当中看到 Wayward 这边也做出了一些尝试嘛，尤其是在第一局的时候选出了贾克斯这个英雄。我发现这是你在夏季赛的赛场上第一次拿出贾克斯，是想要尝试一些新的东西吗？还是有其他的考量呢？
因为贾克斯可能在季后赛的版本会比较火热的上单，然后我之前也是比较喜欢玩贾克斯嘛，然后就找一下感觉。
So because that Jax will be popular in the meta of the playoffs, I just want to have a try now. And you know that I used to play Jax very well. Maybe I just want to find and try to feel how to play Jax this time before the playoffs. And still something about Game 1. Game 1 was a very big comeback for Top Esports. When your opponent got almost 8k golden leads and 4 Drakes leads, how did you guys manage to bounce back around the last Elder Dragon team fight and just secured a Baron? Just took down this game very smoothly around the last 2 team fights. Could you please tell me about more details about this part？ 那么其实今天的第一局可以对于看观众的朋友们比赛来说，发现是滔博的一个究极大翻盘。想问一下，在阵容其实经济上落后8000，并且局势上落后4条小龙的情况下，滔博是怎么样从最后一波远古龙魂团，然后又转到了大龙，实现了双龙会，结束了对面的这样一个对局呢？你觉得可不可以跟我们分享一下当时更多的一些细节和关注的点是在哪儿呢？
其实我们那个阵容打到后面的话是比对面阵容好的，然后那么远古龙团他们先开团，就是比较着急，然后给我们机会了，然后我们就慢慢拉出去打赢。
So maybe that our draft is much better powerful than our opponent's draft, especially coming to the very late game. And in that Elder Dragon team fights, our opponent just started to engage, and we can just punish their mistakes and just like kite and space with our opponent to take down that Elder Dragon team fights. And coming to Game 2, I think your opponent really played around their jungler Viego. He did a lot of things to do. So from your perspective, what was the focus point in the Game 2? But it seems that Top Esports still control the whole game pace very well. 那么其实在今天第2局可以看到对面的打野为福耶哥是积极的在带动游戏的节奏，对面的你们的对手也是想围绕他打出一些东西嘛。但是从整个赛局上来看，滔博这边还是掌控了更好的游戏节奏。所以你觉得在第2局你们能够比较顺利拿下的原因是哪个部分做的比较好呢？
首先我们第2局的 BP 是比他们好一点的，然后我们当时优势就正常运营，他们就没有任何翻盘的机会了。
So first of all, I do think we have a better draft and better benefit strategies than our opponent. As long as we manage normally and do what we need to do, they will not have a chance to take down us. And final question for you, our playoffs is about to come. So what's your expectations from your perspective in terms of your own play style, your own performance, and overall, what kind of goals or how far do you think you can go in playoffs? 最后一个问题。现在滔博的常规赛已经是顺利收官了，我们的季后赛马上就要开始。想问一下Wayward的选手，对于即将到来的季后赛，关于个人的表现、队伍的状态，有哪些方面的期待呢？你觉得滔博能在季后赛走到多远呢？
我个人的表现的话，我觉得我希望我自己是越来越打得越好，然后团队的目标就是走到最后吧。
是进决赛吗？还是
就进决赛？
So in terms of my own performance, I do want to perform much better and better in playoffs. And in terms of overall our team, we do want to make to the grand finals of summer split. Thank you so much for joining us. 谢谢维尔来到我们的赛后采访，也期待滔博在季后赛精彩的表现。Back to you guys. Bye.